Great, thanks, Owen. Good evening and welcome to the October meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair of the commission. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29th, 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Clark.
Here.
Justin Dufresne.
Here.
Diane Gouldner.
Here.
Very good. Todd Helwig. Oh, Todd's got his hand raised. Hello, Todd.
I am.
You're not in yet. I'm going to bring you in now. Okay, he's rejoining us. Good evening, Todd.
Good evening.
Yeah, you're here with us. We're doing the roll call vote.
I am here with us.
Very
I don't know
good.
what happened.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vincent McNally
Yes.
and Owen Jones.
Here.
Very good. Some ground rules for presenters and or applicants listed on the agenda. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by a roll call. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Please remember that this meeting is being recorded and will be available for viewing via the Northborough Remote Meetings tab on the town's website. Diane, you ready?
I am ready.
You're up.
There will be a meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission on Monday, October 16th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on March 29th, 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. To participate in the public comment portion of this public hearing, go to the Northborough Remote Meetings YouTube channel or the town website for Zoom information. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and or the Northborough Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw. An application or notice of intent at 15 Prospect Street, map 2, parcel 61, owned by Stephen and Kayla White, to replace an existing 3-bedroom house and raise a shed within the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. The request for a determination of applicability at 142 and 154 School Street, map 73, parcels 1 and 2, owned by MDD Realty Corporation to continue the operation of a golf training center within the 100-foot wetland resource areas buffer zones. And lastly, application for a notice of intent at 86 Ridge Road, map 72, parcel 23, owned by Win-Win Capital Investments LLC, to replace an existing failed septic system within the 100-foot wetland buffer zones. And that's it.
Very good. Great. Thanks, Diane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, meeting minutes. We've got July and September. Let's see. And Dan, you were not here for September, right?
That's right.
Okay. So if anybody have any questions, comments, concerns with either of those months?
Now, the earliest one was that July.
Yes.
Whoever did that did a very nice job.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new clerk. We have Brenda DeCelie, and she's kind of jumping right into this. She's doing a good job with us.
Mm-hmm.
She spent many years, I guess, supporting a law practice.
Yes,
So.
a local attorney. Yes.
Well, good. Any questions, concerns, comments? No?
Move to approve the minutes.
Okay, we do them separately because Dan can't vote in September. So let's do July 1st, Todd.
I'll move to approve the July minutes.
Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Diane. Roll call for July. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
I would then move to approve the September minutes.
Second.
Second by Diane. Roll call. Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, we are now current, Vinny, right? With our minutes.
Yes, we are. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, public hearings. We have a continuance here to start from 311 Crawford Street. Any update there?
Yes, I met with their engineer, their designer, and he is back on the job. He had a little delay, apologize for that, but they were thinking things through and they're working to reduce the number of waivers. They know they're not going to be able to get rid of all the waiver requests under the land disturbance bylaw, but they're working on a revised plan or some additions and changes to the plan to allow for less waiver requests and hopefully for approval. So they asked for a continuance till the next meeting.
Okay, and I presume you've counseled it on what the commission is looking for from the previous meetings and so forth.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And they think they can do better. Like I said, they're not going to be able to do everything because they're actually digging in just to get up there. They have to get into the groundwater. So there's going to be a couple of waivers going to be required, but as long as I'm guiding them, trying to help them, and we're going to try to make it so that there's no impacts during construction or after construction.
Great, okay. So next month, I presume. Well,
Yes, please.
okay. Need a motion to continue 311 Crawford Street
So moved.
To November 13th, is it?
to November 13th.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. Sorry, Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay. Another continuation, 138 Bartlett Street.
Yes, that's Connor Stone. Is Vito
I
available?
believe he is. Let me take a look here. Vito's got his hand up. You're coming in, Vito. Now, Dan, did you have a chance to review the minutes or see the meeting from last month?
I did not. No.
Okay, so you cannot vote this if we
Okay.
voted tonight, but you
All
certainly
right.
can comment.
All right.
Hey, Vito.
All right. Hello. All right.
All right, continuation from last month, I believe.
Yes, it is. You want
Right.
to do the presentation, Vito?
Sure. So Vito Colonna, Cornerstone Engineering. Let me just get the screen going. So this is a septic repair at on Bartlett Street on the corner. I think most of you are familiar with town, know this house as you drive by. Bartlett Pond is right behind down in that area. So it's a two components to this NOI. I'll switch over to the plan now. So essentially what we have is this Bartlett Pond. This is that existing house right here you're just looking at. And out in front of the house, they have a cesspool. And then out to the back of the house, they also have a second cesspool. This cesspool in the back, it's well into groundwater. We had groundwater at about 12 inches, 18 inches back in the backyard. And that cesspool is down, right into the groundwater, which is why it failed. The front one, I think, might have passed, but if you have a failure in one, it all fails. So we have Bartlett Pond here with a little fringe of wetlands that pokes up into the backyard. And then we also have the beginning of Stirrup Brook as the outlet. It's that sluiceway that kind of goes down off of the pond and goes under through a stone culvert under Bartlett Street.
Mhm.
So we have riverfront area that extends out covering most of the site, and then also a 100-foot buffer. So the 100-foot buffer kind of cuts through the middle, and then the 200-foot riverfront arches out over most of the site. So what we're able to do is locate the septic system outside both the 100-foot buffer and 200-foot riverfront area with the leach field. That's over in this kind of corner over in here. We had good soils over there, but very high groundwater. So we're assuming with this year, we were hoping it would dry out, but it didn't. So they're probably going to have to de-water that during construction, just to get down far enough to remove all the unsuitables and bring in good soils. So that's one of the issues with this. While it's outside the buffer zones, the construction wise does get into some impact inside that 100-foot buffer, just because of the dewatering construction required. So what we proposed during construction was essentially to pump it out and through a hay bale corral. So it's just a ring of hay bales to allow settling, and then a series of or straw bales, check dams through this area. So just to give it a chance to filter out and discharge onto a stabilized surface. And they just need to do that while they're doing the excavation for the leach field, which would only be a couple days. So it would be a fairly quick process, but it is something that they do need to do to get that in. The proposed septic tank and pump chamber would be inside the 100-foot buffer. We moved it as far away as we could, but it does need to be located down here to coordinate with the existing plumbing. It comes out from under the slab in that rear area, so we really can't relocate that or do it to a different area. But we did kind of push that a little bit further up and try to get it, as far as we could away. The tank would be constructed of a monolithic tank, so there's no seams in the tank to help protect against the high groundwater conditions there. And we also have neoprene boots that are watertight joints where the pipes enter this tanks. So we've done everything we could to protect against the high groundwater conditions there. And we also designed the tanks with a anti-flotation ring across the bottom of it to help it buoyancy calculations, so it wouldn't float if it were empty. So that would take care of the septic components of it. And the second component is they were also proposing a detached garage right up in this location. It's a 24 by 24 foot garage. And it is in the riverfront area. This bluish line here is the riverfront. So it's fairly far removed from the resource area, but it still is within that 200-foot zone. It's about 175 feet, 174 feet right now shown from there, but it is separated from the resource by the driveway and the lawn and the house areas. We did look at alternatives. It's one of the things Vinny asked us to do, is look at alternative locations if we could push that further, because there is this space over in here that would be outside the 200-foot, but it comes with its drawbacks. Let me just bring up that. So this is an alternative plan that we kind of developed, just showing that you could push that back. The only drawback is that it would get into this steep slope a little bit and would force us to do grading right up to the property line and then clear all these trees up in here. And while those tree clearing isn't in the buffer or the riverfront, it is still native and natural vegetation that we would have to clear just to get this garage a little bit further away. And there's also a natural flow path that anything that doesn't get caught in this catch basin flows down. There's a low point here and naturally flows through the site. Putting it here would block off that natural flow path and would have to kind of force it around and through the back, not creating a very good drainage situation there. And the third thing is this area here will already be cleared because of that's the access path to get to the septic location. So we figured if we're already clearing it and it would minimize other disturbances and other earth grading, that it would make sense to put it right here. And it's in close proximity to the driveway, just for functionality with the site use. So those were really the two items that we looked at under this NOI. So I'll just hand it back and take comments,
Super.
questions.
Thanks, Vito. A couple questions I have here. So for the backyard piece of it, the pump station and the tank, it's like they're 60 feet away from the wetland line. So
Mhm.
okay. What about that cesspool that's in back? What's the plan for that? To crush it and get rid of it, or?
Yeah, they just crush it and backfill it. So they'll pump it out first.
Yep.
So they usually just pump it, then crush it all in and backfill it down.
Okay. So for the backyard, the only issue we have then in terms of the jurisdiction is the temporary check dams going through there.
Yep. Yes.
Couple
And
days
we
worth.
have these. And those would just be straw bales.
Yep.
Made in a U shape, just to slow everything down.
And the front side, that the new garage, it's 174 feet away from the river
Mhm.
or the riverfront.
From the riverfront.
So
Yep.
A lot of riparian zone. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good. Any other questions, comments, Commission? No? Vinny, how are you with this?
I think it's a good design. It's a tough situation. Just
Yeah.
so the commission knows that they're actually, that cesspools that's in the front. They're going to be running a pipe all the way around the house. So if people drive by and see work on that side of the house, that's probably they're out there putting that new line in around the side to connect into the septic tank in the back. And the same situation is occurring. It says garage, but I assume there's going to be some kind of a use in there that requires a sink and water because you got a 4-inch sewer line coming from the garage. Is that the case?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that yeah, they would have plumbing in this garage and they would need the sewer line that would come down and connect into the tank.
So hang on a sec. I guess I do have a question. So the front, that front one is staying online?
They'd abandoned that one too.
Oh.
So essentially what they'd end up doing is cutting into this pipe. So there's an existing line coming from the house out there, out to the pit. So they'd cut that line and route it around to the back. And the same thing, they'd pump that one, collapse it in and compact it with fill, and get rid of that one in the front too.
Oh, I see. The sewer line from the house goes out the front and around the back.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, so the proposed will link them all together into one. So right
I
now
see.
they have two cesspools, one on the front, one on the back.
I see. Okay.
So we're trying to link them all into one common system.
Got it.
You good, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. Let me see if we have any public questions or comments here. I got a hand up, and Ann Beckstrom. Ann, I'm going to bring you into the meeting as a panelist. Any minute now, we should be having activity.
Looks like she's on mute.
Yep, yes, Ann, you're muted. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
I did the opposite of what I thought I was doing. So that other yellow section on,
Excuse me, Ann,
Yeah.
before you start, could you identify
oh,
yourself?
sorry. Yeah, sorry. Ann Beckstrom, and I live at 152 Bartlett Street, which
Thank you.
abuts 138. So I just had a question regarding that other yellow section that is shown on the map, not those, but the other one there. Yeah, right there.
That's
Vito, you want to answer?
the
that one?
leaching area.
Okay,
right?
that's the leach field for the septic system.
So that remains in place. Is that existing?
Nope, that would be proposed. So they're going to
Okay.
replace the cesspools here with a new leach field out here.
And does that go into that berm area? Are you having to dig into the berm area to?
Yeah, so it kind of just abuts up to that berm. So it would be more of a filled system. So the berm would come down and then bump out over the leach field. So it's up against the side of that berm. But it's not something we have to dig into the berm. We're not cutting away. We're actually going to fill right there.
Okay. And the groundwater there is?
It's pretty high. I think we had it. I have the test pits on here somewhere. Yeah, 20 inches, 26 inches, the groundwater in those two in the leach field.
Okay.
So it's fairly shallow right there.
So are there any negative impacts of putting a leach field in an area that has such?
Not necessarily, just because we would have to fill it up. So the leach field has to be at least 4 feet, 4 feet or 5 feet above groundwater. So in this case, we have really good soil, so it has to be actually 5 feet above water. So we're going to bring in fill to bring that system up and get that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. And I guess when we are talking about the garage, we're talking about the positioning of it closer to the driveway rather than further away from the driveway, which would be then closer to our property. And then if that were to happen, just wondering how close that actually is.
How close it is to the
So
property
yeah,
line?
where this option it's not the preferred option, would actually like to be the other one.
Right.
So this is about 25 to 30 feet. I don't have an exact dimension on that. And then this one would put it about 50 feet.
Okay.
away.
Yeah.
So if we look at the street view, proposed it wants to be right here.
Okay.
And then that other option would put it back into this hill. in the
Right.
back,
Right.
which-
And you'd have to take all those trees down, which
Right.
wouldn't
Yep.
be the greatest. So, okay. Hopefully everyone's okay with your preferred plan. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Vito, what's going to be the deciding factor between proposed and alternative to the garage?
Well, we like this one.
It's
This was on the
commission.
proposed plan. We just did the alternative. Vinny asked for alternative analysis, which
Okay,
you have to do anytime you do work in the
Okay.
river area.
Right. It will justify the location that is the best, and it appears, and it sounds like the commission, I agree, that what they're proposing is the best. It's not really deep into the 200-foot zone, and there's a lot more alteration on the alternative, even though it's outside of the buffer zone. It's altered buffer zone right now, or altered riverfront area. So
okay, great.
I think what they're proposing is the best opportunities here.
Okay. I don't see any more hands up.
Peter, just a quick question. No thought about that garage just kind of at the back end of the driveway there and kind of closer to the house. Does it have like garage doors on it or anywhere? I'm just wondering if we're gonna get some point kind of somebody coming for an extension off the driveway to kind of get into the garage or something if we don't place it there now.
Yeah, we asked him that because it kind of made sense just to come straight in. And he didn't want it there. He wanted, I think this is going to be more just kind of
Like a
storage.
barn.
Yeah. And he was unsure if he was actually gonna build it, but he wanted to ask for it while he went through the process anyway. So the septic's really the key item he needs. And this was kind of his next possibility. So he looked at it here and he thought it might have been like too close with the pool and maybe not work with the house. And he thought it would just be nice to have it off to the side a little bit. I think it's more of a storage barnish shed garage. I don't think it's necessary, to pull the cars in every day.
Okay.
All right. Any more comments, questions? All right, then we can move ahead here. We need a motion to close the hearing. Vinny, before we do move ahead, any other last comments from you?
No, I think this
Okay.
is good. I think we're ready to go. And just the idea of that was a question that I had in my mind that I asked Vito about also the shed or the garage being there, and you've got the big utility pole and a guy wire right in front of it. And they said that's what they want, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Okay.
Move to
Okay.
close the hearing.
Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Diane. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Now we need a motion for 138 Bartlett Street.
I'd move to issue an order of conditions for 138 Bartlett Street.
Oh, actually, the only thing we had on this one is your detail. I think your detail didn't have the fabric on the sill fence buried 6 inches. So I was
Okay.
going to do that. It's either this project or the other one. I forget which one. It might be the other project.
I think it's
though.
the other one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second.
Seconded by Justin. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes.
And just to note that one, Dan is not allowed to vote on it, though.
Oh,
he
okay.
did.
Well, we remove that vote.
So we just
Take
do
it
that
back.
on the
We'll take
minutes.
Take it back.
Rescind the vote.
Still had the majority, but just so the clerk knows to not add that in. We don't need an appeal on that minor thing.
Where's my gavel? I don't see a gavel. Okay. No special conditions you can think of, Vinny, on this?
No, it's all our standard conditions. Do you believe we actually had signs added to the plan on one of the drafts? So we didn't note those, but I think there were 2 or 3 signs to keep them from encroaching farther into the
Correct.
buffer area
Right.
at the
Okay.
current edge of
Vito, when you
trees.
start the work, the DEP sign,
Yeah.
make sure it's visible. where
Okay.
you're having, it's gonna be visible, it's a visible location, so
Yeah. Not tucked around it.
you
Side
got
of the
a
tree.
lot of traffic back there. so.
Mm.
All right, good. Very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Um, 15 Prospect Street.
Okay, that would be, what's his name? We went out and met there, Greg.
Yeah, we met
Yeah, Glenn Kravosky.
Glenn Kravosky there.
Is he there?
I do not see anybody here with no hands up.
Okay, well, they had asked for a continuance because they're revising their design to add some wetland replication and some buffer zone replication. So they had asked for a continuance anyway. I thought we might have opened it and explained it, but I think that'll wait to the next meeting if they're not here.
Yeah, let me double check again, but I don't see any hands up. Okay. We're just gonna continue and then open next time?
Well, I guess you've got the meeting opened already. It's been advertised, so now we're just going to vote to continue
Right.
the hearing.
Okay, so it's opened.
Yes.
Okay. Need a motion to continue the 15 Prospect Street NOI.
so moved.
Second by Justin. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Continue. So Vinny, when either one of us speak to Tom about next month, if he wants to vote on that, he needs to what? Just review the minutes or the video?
Watch the video. He needs to
Watch
watch
the
the
video.
video, actually. Yes.
They
the
usually
minutes
pretty
won't be
riveting
reviewed.
videos, There's a lot of action, activity, and yeah, it's pretty good, so.
Let's hope it's not.
Okay.
He
Taylor
has to
Swift
take a
occasionally
test.
drops by, so I mean, that could do it.
Yeah, Todd's going to give him a test.
he's got to take a test, he's got to pass the test.
Is it open book test? That's okay. Okay, School Street, 142154 School Street, RDA. Let me see, we have some people here for that, I believe.
We have,
See Dudley Darling.
oh, Dudley's gonna do it? Okay.
Dudley, I'm gonna bring you as a panelist. And that's it.
No pedals.
No, Craig Robert, Jenna Kalili, and
Yep.
owner.
Yep, I think they're abutters, I think. So they'll
Okay.
have, they may have
Alright.
questions, or I think they're just trying to see what's going on.
Could be. Okey doke.
There's a lot of interest in this one. Do you want to ask Dudley if he wants to do the presenting when he gets in, and then if
Yep.
he doesn't?
Dudley,
I'll
I'm bringing
take-
you in as a panelist. Just waiting for the system to do its thing. Okay. He's going to rejoin us as a panelist. Dudley, can you hear us? You there? No, he's no longer a. Hey, Owen?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. We have a problem here. I tried to bring in a Dudley Darling as a panelist, but now he seems to have dropped off into the etherware.
Didn't want to be a panelist, just an observer.
Oh, okay. A lot of people have that opinion, Dudley. Wait, should I just put you back?
Just
We'll just leave it as it is. How's that?
Right, there may be a couple of questions I can't answer. So
Okay.
I know the pedals, the owners are away, so they had a conflict for tonight. Let me just pull up my screen to pull up the plan. Here we are. Okay, so I think, can you see this screen with green in the center here?
Yep.
Or off to the right? And this big parcel in orange, I think it is 142, and in blue is 154. They're combined now to just show the property that is the town golf, or the golf learning center, or golf training center, I guess is what it's called. And this whole effort started when I got a call about some work being done on the back edge. This is a pond, an irrigation pond that's out there. And there was some tree cutting being done on the dike that stabilizes that pond. So I went out and investigated it. I looked in our file. There was no file for this property in the conservation records. And so I went out and looked around, and they were indeed doing some cutting work and some maintenance work around the backside, the south side of this pond. There's a dike that runs along the side here. There's a wetland, then feeds into a little brook that leads into the Assabet that's farther over across. And School Street, I'm sorry, School Street is right here on the east side of the property. If you're familiar with this, there's a parking lot right in here, and the driving range is there. There's a putting green, and just I don't know what they're called, fairway. I'm not a golf person, so there's a lawn out here. That's where they drive the golf balls out to. The end of Catherine Drive, I think it's, or Catherine Street, is here. And this is all wooded in the back, and you can see the lawn area there. So that's our location. What is being proposed is to just maintain the existing golf course. Part of the idea of the golf course was to kind of keep back the growth coming in along the edges and to remove invasive, mostly bittersweet in this case, all around here, and to keep the edge of the pond stable and without any tree growth on the dike, so that the stability of the dike is remains. So there would be no problems with stability. If they have a large tree, sometimes a large tree can fall over and the root ball pulls up and it causes a fracture where the water can go over the dike. So to prevent that, they keep the trees off the dike. And that's actually what they were doing. They propose no herbicide applications in this property. They just plan on mowing. And then in the spring and fall, when they do the regular maintenance, they're going to be pulling out and cutting some of the invasive species, the bittersweet. And they kind of mow and maintain the edge here as well. When I went out there, I found an old pile of brush and branches that they're going to be removing. So that was the only real issue, and they've agreed to get it done. But I wanted to wait till after the public hearing to see what the commission thoughts might be, more experience, more history about this area. But generally, they just want to keep using it as a golf training center and keep operating the way they have been for 25 or 30 years.
So Vinny, it sounds like there's no expansion planned.
No expansion,
it-
no buildings.
It's really, you're putting a baseline together here to have a file, something to file about. It's okay.
Yes, there was no file there's no something in the file. There's no file for in our records.
Yeah.
So this is basically the baseline, the starting up.
Okay. All right. Deli, is there anything you want to add to what Vinny has said, or are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. And this is an RDA we're looking at, right?
Yep.
Any questions by the commission or comments, concerns?
And actually, I think there's another photo before this. Yeah, this is
Okay.
it's a little harder to see where things
Yep.
are, but once you have the idea, it's the same image. And oh no, that's Joseph on there,
Right,
and
Catherine's
Catherine
on
is
there,
here.
yeah.
So Joseph and Catherine. And the actual wetland line is this red line that runs along. It's kind of a steep slope, so it's pretty obvious for a wetland edge. And it comes around like that. And it's at the a few feet, 5 feet maybe beyond their limit of alterations. So they're not in any wetlands for this.
Okay. Questions, comments? None? Let me see if we have any abutters have questions, or any attendees, public attendees. I don't see any hands up. Going once, going twice. Okay. That's it. So we are going to close the hearing, number one, and then vote on the RDA. So we need a motion to close the hearing. If there's no other comments from the commission, we need a motion to close the hearing.
I move that we close the hearing.
Second.
For what, Diane?
Good question. Because it looks finished the way it is.
142, 154 School Street.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes,
and I vote yes. Hearing is closed. So I believe we are looking for a negative determination.
That is correct.
No special conditions, Vinny? No, nothing I can think of?
It's a determination, so we don't
Yeah.
really get too many conditions, but I will be out monitoring and making sure that the limb and the branch pile gets removed or chipped up, taken out of there. And if anyone goes out there and is golfing, give me a call if there's any issues and I can go out there. They've been very cooperative.
Good, good. Okay, so we are going to vote on issuing a negative determination for 142, 154 School Street.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second,
Seconded by Todd. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufrain,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes,
Todd Helwig,
yes,
and I vote yes. Dudley, we're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. 86 Ridge Road, NOI.
That is
We have no
Vito.
DP number for this one yet, Vinny.
No, I have not gotten a DEP number.
We really can't, we can't close the hearing. Is Vito's back?
Yep, I'm back.
Okay,
One thing, Vinny, I don't know if you have a copy of this plan. I can't find it on my laptop at home. But yeah, we don't have a DEP file number on this, so I figured we wouldn't be able to close tonight. But we could still go through it. Hopefully, I don't know if you have the,
I have it. Just
okay,
pulling it up
perfect. Thank you.
just in case.
So this one was it was a little difficult to fit the septic in on this one. It's another repair. And there's wetlands on basically all three sides. We have wetlands in the back, and then it trails around to the lower side of the site through, it's almost like a little stream through there, and then it goes through a culvert under Ridge Road into the pond on the opposite side of the street. And I don't know if you've driven by there, you know, at certain times of the year, that pond is basically right up to the
yep.
almost the edge of the pavement.
yeah,
So we're really pinched in on this one. They had a existing septic system out the back of the house. And they went to go the process of selling the house and found it was in failure. Most likely because of the groundwater table. We found very shallow groundwater on this. It basically coincides with all the wetlands right around the site. We did have good soils. It was very sandy, so we had a good perk rate. It's just the fact that it had really high groundwater. So we basically tried to position that in a spot that would be equally distant to all the wetlands, and try to get it as far away as we possibly could. And the fact that it is high groundwater, it has to be a raised system. So we couldn't put it on the other side of this house site where the driveway is. Otherwise, you'd have to come up and over it to basically get into the garage. So it is a mounded system. So we're trying to blend it in, but it is, you know, kind of going to stick out in the middle of the lawn. But it is kind of all we can do to keep those separations. So we're at least 50 feet from all the wetlands on all directions. And we ended up using a LGen system, which is an alternative system to provide a little enhanced treatment. And the benefit to us is that it gets to shrink the leach field size by 40%. So it's kind of a win-win for both. So we can get the further separations, a little extra treatment, but also save us that size on the system itself.
Vito, what's the name of that system again?
It's called a LGen. Yep. It's a prefabricated, it's kind of a mesh plastic wrapped in filter fabric. Yeah, I think on the bottom right side of the sheet should have a little cross section. They're almost like bricks. They come in 3 foot wide, 4 feet long, 1 foot thick. And you just kind of place them in and you put the pipe over the top of them. It just gives more area for the media, for the microbes to grow and break everything down. Yeah, so it's something, you know, it's just an alternative system. It's all approved through DEP for those uses. Yep. I think that's all we have on that. Unfortunately, we don't have the DEP number. That's the only thing we're missing.
You didn't have many options where you could go.
No, we didn't really. So we kind of just picked right in the center of that, center of all the wetland buffer zones.
Have you been in front of the Board of Health?
Not yet. I know we have to go there, or we need relief from them on those. I talked to Kristen when we were out on site, and she agreed there was really nothing else we could do. So I don't see it really changing any through Board of Health, but we do have to go through that. We haven't gotten approval through them yet.
Okay, any questions, comments from the commission? Okay, then we'll see you again next month, I guess, Vito.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me see
And the
if we have
local,
any-
I'm sorry. And the local bylaw, just to add in, our local bylaw requires a 50-foot setback, but that's for new construction. It
Yeah.
allows a reduction to 50 feet for a leaching area in a repair.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Okay,
No,
I don't see any public hands up. All right, so we will see you. Well, we need to a vote to continue, I guess, Vinnie, right?
yes,
Yeah, motion to continue 86 Ridge Road.
Second,
Seconded by Diane. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yep.
and I vote yes.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll see you next meeting.
Thanks, thanks,
All right.
Vito.
Thank you, Vito.
Okay. That is the majority of the items. We have some updates here, right, Vinnie?
COC request.
Yep, Dennis Circle.
Yes, 26 Dennis Circle. All right, let me pull that up. This was one from 2004, I think, and they the request at the time was to install a utility electrical line. Runs. This is the driveway coming up to 26 Dennis. There's a stream. Downstream is going this way. Upstream is there. Nice little frog pond or frog wet area there, and here with the stone lining. This is a discharge from Dennis Circle coming in and discharging to the wetland here. What was proposed was a power line coming right up the side of the driveway. It was put in 15 years ago, and it's still being maintained, still working, and everything looks good. They're selling the house, so that's why they requested the COC. It was found by the attorneys during the sale.
Is that a culvert underneath the road, or is that those two
Under the
separate drives
driveway.
along?
Yep,
It is
there's
a
a
culvert.
culvert under the driveway.
Okay. You're good, I'm good.
Yep.
Any questions from the commission? Okay. Need a motion for 26 Dennis Circle to issue a COC.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded by Diane. Roll call. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
yes.
Todd Helwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay. No violations. That's good that we're aware of.
Right.
They're out there.
They're happening as we speak, Todd. That's what we know what's going on. So, informal discussion. We've got a few of them here. Bartlett Street, the ARHS athletic fields, I believe it's known as the Gonkplex.
What?
I think it's the Gonkplex.
Complex. Sure.
Okay. All right, I've got that one.
You got that?
Yep, I just gotta get the right
Um,
screens
I
here.
don't see any hands up.
No Martino or anybody?
No, I see no hands up. Nope.
Okay. Well, the situation is on the high school athletic field program. They had a land disturbance permit that you folks approved and issued.
Mhm.
And the image here is that they did some work on the stadium field, they call it, down here where the bleachers are going to be going, down in this area lower left in the picture. And then this was I think this was the practice field that they are redoing with turf, and it's already redone. The turf looks really nice. And when they came before the commission, they, under the land disturbance permit, they have to explain what they're doing with the fill and any material being brought in, the staging. And they had designed and planned this to be the material that was in this practice field and in the stadium field was all going to be removed and hauled off site. When they were out there, they started pulling up the material and decided that they were going to keep it on site for certain reasons. And they have more material now that they needed to do something with. And it's being put into they call it the javelin field in the back area here with I think it's a hammer throwing cage back there.
Mhm.
And this is a lacrosse wall that they're putting in as well. But this is the very back. The wetlands are located probably about 120 feet out the back area here.
It's pretty steep too, Vinny. It drops down probably 20 feet.
This drops down a lot. Yes, it dropped 15 or 20 feet going down here. They had the erosion controls in place during the construction, but they never came in with a change of plans. So, but they did change their plans, and it's constructed with this new revised grading on the back area with everything going down to a catch basin in this area. So my major concern is that the drainage going to this catch basin needs to get captured and treated somehow before it just discharges straight into the wetland in the back. They seem to be doing a good job with erosion and sediment control, but we just need to watch out for that, because if that overtops, if we get one of those summer storms again, it's going to run right down and then wash out this really steep slope that goes to it's a ropes course here in this area of the complex.
Mhm.
So that's the concern. It's washing out here and then just flowing down to the wetland. But just want to bring it to your attention and ask what you might want to do, because they are doing work and they significantly changed their plan without asking for permission before they did it.
Well, the first piece here, that area you're talking with, that new catch basin they're put in.
Yep.
You want some sort of treatment for that, correct? Which is not there now.
I was out there last on Friday, and the grading just needed to be adjusted, and there was a wattle put around it, but the wattle was floatable. It was straw,
Yeah.
so it's not going to stay down really well. But these guys have been the contractor that did all the work has been very responsive when I asked him something, but I wanted to make sure if there were any issues that the commission might want, I was going to just forward everything at once, because we didn't have any big rains predicted. So,
Well, I mean, number one, we need the current plan updated to reflect what is. And number two, we need to have a discussion with the contractor, I guess, that they don't make any more significant changes without speaking to you first.
yep, that sounds good.
I mean, that's not rocket science. That's pretty common, I guess. But
Yeah, I was expecting someone to be here and make that actual request in person, but they're not here.
In this area, Vinny, just for my benefit too, it was a field before, right? It's not like they cleared woods or anything to put this fill here, right? So was it lawn before and it's just kind of staying lawn? They've just kind of raised it up with the fill and graded it out, or was this like, it wasn't a wooded area, right? But they went in and cleared anything and put the fill in there.
That's correct. So what you can kind of see now that I've zoomed in a bit,
Yep.
you can see the old fence line here, and the new fence line is back here. So they moved it back a little bit, just are matching the grades with a good slope off the end, but they're matching it. And then they now have a center line going diagonally across and sloping down on both sides. It's like 288 and 290. So it's probably a 2-foot fill in much of the area, 288, 290, 290 and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
So they just had more fill, and they just are grading the whole site, just resurfacing and grading the whole site.
Was this field set to kind of get redone as part of the original one, and they've just brought it up, or were they not even going to touch this field before?
This was not going to be altered as far as I remember. All the work was going to be on these other areas down here on the practice field and the stadium field. And this is the shot put area, I think is what it's called. So they've expanded their area of alteration. But again, I'm not sure. It's a town project. They decided it was saving money, I guess, or would save money to not haul the material off, and they just used it on site. I'm not sure if this area was
But this isn't a wetlands issue. This is just the land.
Land disturbance.
correct.
Yeah.
Land
So land
disturbance.
disturbance.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
yep,
So they're
that's
not
why.
actually- they're not disturbing anything more. They're just changing the nature of the disturbance somewhat.
Well, they're disturbing more because they weren't proposing to alter this field area. So it's
Oh,
more
okay.
disturbance,
So it is
but it's
more.
not anything that's not, it wouldn't, it would probably have gotten permitted if they asked for it. It wouldn't have made a big difference in what was going on because they have put in the perimeter sediment controls, and they hydroseeded this area. Actually, when Greg and I were out there last Wednesday, they were hydroseeding it. So I think it's stable. It's just the fact that it's a change of plans.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't dramatically change, we're not, if they were kind of clear trees and things like that, kind of put something there, but since it was grass before and lawn, and now that they're, they've raised the ground shorts, a lot of topsoil that was there because there was grass fields and now they're turf fields, so they had all this topsoil that they had to get rid of, so they probably saw it as an opportunity to just redo this area. So I'd agree that, if it was part of the original, I'm sure we would have just approved it and it would have been fine. I would just kind of echo Greg's sentiment to just, let them know that, changes like this certainly need to come before us. Hopefully where they are in the project, there won't be too many more. I wouldn't think.
They're trying to close up, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't expect any more.
No.
It's just, you would want them to come to the next meeting, or how would you want to? I haven't.
I'm at least speaking for me personally, I'm okay with this, as it is.
But I'm in favor of letting it go.
Yeah.
I mean, you can certainly tell them not to do this again, but I don't think they need to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it when occasionally drive by there, take a look, so.
Okay.
Okay,
And we'll ask for a formal plan of. Yeah, actually, well, this would probably be their formal plan. Okay.
there was somebody named Craig Robert here that dropped off.
Say that again.
There was a person named Craig Robert.
He was for 142, 150.
Okay,
That's the golf training center. He was in a butter there.
yeah, he dropped off, so.
But Vinny, aren't you still concerned about the outlet and overflowing into the wetland?
Yes, I am.
So how do we get them to address that?
I think that's where I make a deal and say, okay, the commission was okay with the idea of you doing this and making a change in the plans, but we need to see some protection of that outlet, and it needs to be stabilized appropriately. And if it's not, then you'd have to go back to the commission at the next meeting. So I think that might be an option.
Oh, Vinny, we have, Greg Martineau is here. Let me,
Excellent.
hey, Greg, want to bring you in as a panelist? Any minute now. Okay, Greg, you're muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear, can't see, we can hear you. Yes.
So I apologize.
Here. Let me, excellent.
I did not receive an invite to the meeting.
I'll bring you in as a panelist.
Sure. All right, let me know if you can hear me.
I hear you, yes, very good.
Okay. So thank you. And I apologize for not joining the meeting earlier. I didn't realize that I received an invite to the meeting. I actually looked at the agenda this morning and noticed that under the violators, Algonquin Regional High School was listed. So I definitely was watching.
That's a rather harsh term.
It's in the informal discussion. The violators are down below.
Oh, sorry. So just some context. So some just context.
Yep.
In terms, I apologize. I did not receive an invite to the meeting. Sure.
Greg, can you shut off your voice or put in on a headset? You'd have to mute your screen.
All right. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yeah, you. Very good.
Okay. So thank you. And
Lost him.
Go on.
We were going to do what he wanted anyway.
We'll give him a chance to come back here. So Vinny, you talked to the contractor about that, the basin, which wants something more robust.
Yeah, I have to
around
go out there and look at it. It may have already been done. The
Yeah.
contractors on this site, they have done a really good job, but I have not had time to get out there. So we were moving right along in the meeting, and I was addressing a lot of that other stuff, and I didn't get out to this site.
Yeah. I don't see Greg rejoining yet. Well, let's move on, and we will deal with him when he comes back. It should be a short discussion, so.
Right.
Oh. Now we're going, he's back with a hand up. Here we go. Had a lot of Zoom fun tonight, haven't we? Fun with Zoom.
Yeah.
so
Hey, Greg, can you hear us?
yes, and can you hear me? Hopefully not
Yeah.
twice.
Yes.
So
We can see you too. Okay, welcome.
Good. I apologize. So just some context too. So in terms of the javelin field, so in the original plan that we submitted, that was a grass field, and we we're going to use it as javelin and the discus. Part of the project that we learned was that we were doing some baseline testing for PFAS. The soil conditions came back where we were required to report to the DEP, hire a licensed LSP, and determine what action to take. So we had many meetings with LSP and the DEP, and basically the DEP recommended two options: to keep the PFAS soil on the contaminated on the site, on the construction site, or dispose of it as hazardous material. And that we did some cost estimates of what that would cost. That was a little under $3 million. PFAS is kind of unknown terms of how to treat it and what to do with it when it's discovered. So the contractor and the architect and the project manager developed a plan to keep the soil on site and raise the javelin field up, and that is what you are seeing. So that was the design or site plan change. We did also do a risk assessment. I believe I gave that to Vinny, and I'm sure you have that as well in your file. So I just wanted to give some context, and I want to do everything I can to make it right by the commission board. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Good. I don't know if you heard the first part of the meeting, but we were talking about ongoing actions, and one of them is to Vinny, he has a concern about a certain new catch basin and capturing flow, make sure that that's mitigated somehow.
Yep.
But he feels the contract's been pretty responsive so far to him. So
yeah, we'd be happy to implement any recommendations Vinny has and the commission board has.
Great. Any questions that we have, Mr. Martineau here? No. A lot of shaking heads. That's a good thing. Okay, so I think Vinny, I think we're good, Greg. Vinny's gonna talk to the contractor, continue that conversation. I think the key for me is that if they make any more changes, they gotta let us know ahead of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's the key, so. Okay, anything else?
All right.
Vinny?
Well, thank you. And thank you, Vinny.
Yeah, I'm planning on coming out there tomorrow, probably late morning or so, and see what's what. And because I'm sure they've done something. I think I talked to them last Thursday or Friday. And usually those guys at White have been pretty responsive. So
Yeah,
I'm just
and
gonna check it.
the project manager's on site on Tuesday, so perfect.
Okay.
Did I read that they're practicing now on the turf? They had the
Yeah,
first
so the
practice?
multi-purpose field opened this past Tuesday. So the boys soccer, girls field hockey, and girls soccer all had games last week. So it was a important milestone. It was great
Sure.
to see the kids out on the fields.
Sure. Good deal. The Gauntplex lives, okay?
Yes, yes. All
Very
right. Well,
good.
thank you very much.
Thanks for joining.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Okay. Edmund Hill Conservation Area. What's going on there, Vinny?
We're actually making progress. I've got a contract. Well, actually, I've had a couple of contracts that we need to get before our town administrator. The prior interim town administrator wanted a certain kind of contract, a certain format, and the new interim administrator has a different format. So I just got the revised proposal from the contractor today and have to review it, but she said she's tried to incorporate everything from the newest version into the contract. So I'm hoping in the next week we'll be able to get this active and moving. She's excited to get out there and start looking at the specifics of the site. And I had a meeting with, or I attended the Trails Committee, Northborough Trails Committee, and there were concerns and there were questions that I couldn't answer. So I contacted the forester, and she's willing and interested in attending their meeting in November. I think it's November 20th. And with the Trails Committee, she's going to do like an overview of forestry. I'm not sure if it's going to be the good, bad, and the ugly. I think she's going to keep it to the good. And she knows that there has been some bad and ugly in the local region that she doesn't want to use as the example. She's got some highlights and examples of good projects, and she's going to make the presentation for that and respond to any questions. And she has much more knowledge and experience than I do. So I was not comfortable making the decisions and comments. So now we have someone capable of doing that, and she's going to come to the meeting. And I wanted to invite any, as long as we don't have a quorum, any other members of the commission to attend that meeting with the Trails Committee if they're interested. It's the week after our meeting next month, so we have
11/20,
time.
right?
Yes, it's the third Monday of the month.
Okay.
Just a thought for the group. Kind of an idea I got. I was actually walking around Pisgah the other day, and I hadn't been up there since the fire. And I don't know if you guys have been to the site. The trail, there's a trail. One of the trails actually goes right through where the burn was. And it's actually a kind of an interesting, I actually look at it as an opportunity. So what the fire did was killed most of the understory pine that was up there. And from a forest management perspective, is actually an interesting opportunity to do some forest management, believe it or not. So particularly that site, the Pisgah is this dry soil, sandy soil, oak ridgetop. And in a lot of cases, pine invades those sites, and you're actually trying to regenerate a lot of oak. And a lot of people, rest of the country, different areas, you can actually go in there and do a fire before you do a harvest, because oak is resistant to fire and white pine is not. So I guess my point is it'd be interesting if when Mary Wigmore is on board to take a walk around Pisgah and get her perspective on what she sees up there. Because I have sort of a vision of what might be possible up there with this kind of unique opportunity that you had this, not a prescribed fire, but this wildfire, but the conditions that it created you have a window where you can maybe take advantage of some of those conditions. So I'd like to get her or everyone's opinion, but hers in particular. So just an idea.
That's actually a good idea. She has spoken about revising the forest management plan that was prepared and including more climate adaptation things. I'm not sure of all the right phrases, but they generally want to, we just had the forest management plan done in 2022, but she sees an opportunity to revise that and include it's something that just came into being at the state level, and to incorporate that into our plan. So that's like her first effort in the contract to update our plans. And then from there, or part of that is to go out to Mount Pisgah as well as Edmund Hill and evaluate things. And if there's an evaluation that's like positive, I mean, I don't have the background, so your idea is probably something that she'll be able to consider. And if there's a recommendation to do some kind of a harvest there, a small harvest, that's a possibility. But I think that's something that we would wait for their input, and we can discuss it at the time.
Yeah, I think it's worth a walk with her to show her what happened and get her perspective on, you know, could we turn this into a positive, this wildfire that we didn't plan, you know, we didn't necessarily want it up there, but it happened. So
That's good.
Vinny, when do you think we can have a discussion around the financial piece here? Once we have our contract in hand, we can see about who's paying for what, when, how, and.
I'm working on that. Would you want it at the commission meeting or just as for your update? I just got the numbers today for the contract, and it's a $43,000 contract, 43,800, I think. But
And that's just for Edmund Hill, right?
Edmund Hill, and then these revisions at Mount Pisgah.
Okay.
So
We looked
for
at
the
both.
forest management plan there. So it's what we're looking for right now is, and as we had said, we were going to start with Edmund Hill. But if Dan is now thinking that it's a possibility of doing something at Mount Pisgah because of the fire, that's something we should probably, I should probably talk to her and get her feedback or thoughts.
yeah, I think it's worth considering because there's a window of opportunity at Pisgah after the fire. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think it's worth, again, having her take a look, go out in the field and see what she thinks.
Yeah,
And
that sounds
the
great.
consensus might be to move Edmund Hill, drop it down and bring Pisgah to the top, the first one, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know part of the motivation at Edmund Hill was to get rid of some of that oak mortality, but honestly, I think those trees are so dead. I'm not sure how much commercial value they have in them. So if we're bringing in a logging operation to remove some of those, I don't know, it could be a tough sell, I guess, if you're using a logging contract to get rid of those dead oak and then do some of this other work that we hope to get done. I'm not sure there's much commercial value to those oaks anymore. They're really dead. I'm not even for firewood. I'm not sure how valuable they might be. But again, I'm not the logger. Mary would know more about that than me.
Well,
Yeah.
now we take a look once we get around board and off we go.
Yeah.
Right, and there was discussion about that in that contract, the 43, I think it was whatever the contract amount was. She said it could be reduced by the value of the harvest. So if that's not really using much more cutting than access cutting and adjacent tree cutting as we're taking out the really bad trees, the dead trees. So there's no valuable harvest involved in those costs, which is the way I asked her to do it, because it's always better if we can see what we can do and then evaluate the value of what we're going to get for a harvest, and then use that number to offset the price to do the work that she's envisioned. And there's a couple of state grants that are available that we're going to try to go for, a $25,000 state grant from the DCR, and then another one, forget where it's from. I think it's also from DCR, but it was for the climate adaptation stuff.
Is that
So
20,000? Maybe the second one?
it might be 20 as well. Yes. I don't I'm not sure of those numbers. But there is money available. The state really wants to spend that with the communities. It's a community stewardship program. So it's towns doing the work. So there's not a lot of towns asking for the money. So they
Yep.
are looking for opportunities to implement
Good.
it.
Good.
And I guess our contractor, Mary Wigmore, has got a really good reputation there in that program. So she said it's a very high likelihood of getting the grant, which is always nice.
Okay. Okay. Well, moving forward. Okay. 432 Whitney Street.
Yes. Let me pull
That
up.
rings a bell with some people on this commission.
Was that piece of property sold?
No, he's still Mr. Ansa still owns it,
Okay,
and
He's-
he would like to build something out there.
such
Yeah.
as,
He wants to build
Well-
is it a feed shed or something, Vinny?
a farm building. It could be for feed, it could be for equipment. I'm trying to pull up the screen now.
well, before it was a house
Yes, it was his house.
Yes.
with a barn, wasn't it? There were two pieces.
Maybe I remember there was a house. It was way back.
Yeah, but it was bigger than what this seems to be.
Well, the situation here is we've got Whitney Street
Yeah,
right up along the top. You can see that. And then the railroad track comes down here, and on the
Yep.
west side of the railroad track is the aqueduct. And this
Yep.
property is, you guys are very familiar with this, I hear. And this is the wetland in green. The contours are in here, and the access comes in right through here, and it comes down and goes right by this pinch point there. And then it goes back up the hill to the top of the hill where that's where he wants to put the building. He's requested and actually he's been issued a building permit to put a farm building here. And it's almost 200 feet away from the wetland. So it's beyond wetland jurisdiction. And so he was issued the building permit for that. The access road is where I had a question, is that it's an existing farm pathway. It's not something that's going to be passable by a concrete truck to bring up and to do the work for a building up there. So there needs to be some review from the commission of any improvements to this road. And I spoke with Mr. Anza on Friday, and he said that he would provide, he's got a commitment from an engineer to design this road coming in. And I said, under the farm exemptions, you're allowed to improve your farm road, but that doesn't mean you can make it a 40-foot wide access. And so he said he understands that. He doesn't intend to impact any wetlands, but he's going to come in with a plan showing a delineated wetland boundary and his proposal for what he's going to do in that access road to get up to this building site. He hasn't submitted anything yet, but it was only last week, but that's what his intention and his comments to me were, that he will submit a plan to the commission for review and comment, because I said we need to see that it's going to be in compliance with that farm, that agricultural exemption, because he's not allowed to fill under the ag exemption, because this is not land in agricultural use. That wetland is a wetland, so we have to protect that.
how big is that piece of property?
I think it's 30, 40 acres.
This little brown thing is that much?
No, the whole piece of property.
The whole piece
No,
goes
no,
down.
just where he wants to build.
Oh,
How
this
big
area
is-
here?
Yes, please.
I'd say that might be 3/4 of an acre or an acre.
Well, that's the size of my piece of property here.
Yep.
And by pretty much what everybody else has over there.
Yeah.
Whitney, Coolidge, all that.
Yes,
So-
well, you can see some of these lots here. So that's probably the acre size in some of these lots here. So
Yeah.
that same general size would be an acre, acre and a half. But he has the area to build the building. It's the access that is the issue.
What do you, when you, I see what you're saying about the access, but what do you envision the access should look like?
Well, Diane, I think that you walked the property before, right?
Yep.
Okay. I believe most of the filling that he did was what is going to be the access road. He did a lot of filling with various materials alongside that piece there by the pinch point and in front of it and behind it. And that is why the cease and desist was issued, so that no more work would be done inside the buffer zones. Inside
Mhm.
the no build, no, the old numbers, but that was the original reason for the C&D.
Is that still in effect?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is it's still in effect. It says he can't continue to do any filling or alteration of that area. I need to figure out where that area is, because the cease and desist is particular. Let me pull that one up too.
So how could he improve this cart road with that in effect?
Well, this is the cease and desist. Did it come up on your screen too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is the order of cease and desist work, and it was done in May of 2020. And this is what is kind of alleged from observations, but what it actually says is the cart path area work must cease until you receive a negative determination or an order of conditions from the commission. And he's saying that he's going to submit
Oh, I see.
information for that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think if I remember back, Vinny, to kind of right around that time, 2015, 2017 timeframe, he had submitted something, right? I'm sure we probably have a record of that, but it was gonna be, I remember it was building the road a lot wider, pushing it closer to the wetlands and kind of creating kind of a bigger road. And I actually think it had wetland impacts there. And maybe it was just filed as an RDA or something. And I think at the time we were saying, well, if you're going to impact the wetlands and do things, like it needs to be an NOI, it can't just be an RDA. And there's a lot of back and forth. And then there's still, I think there's work happening at the time out there while we were doing it. And then, everything kind of stopped. I mean, from what I know, and just driving by there a lot too, it seemed like after our meeting and after we talked about it, there wasn't a whole lot of work that continued on it after that. So
Right.
It's kind of, I think, dusting off some of that information and kind of seeing where we were at that time. And hopefully if he gets an engineered plan and it has a delineation on it, something that we can actually look at and review and, feel comfortable with, then I think we kind of move from there, right?
Yes, that's what my hope is. And I'm counting on you folks for the memories, because the file, it's probably a 2 foot, 3 foot deep file of information. And I went through it. I found an old 2012 notice of intent that was denied for doing some work similar to this. And then I saw some activity in 2016, but there was no formal application there. And then in 2019 and 2020 was when the filling occurred. And I was under the impression that there is an access road, where is it here? That comes down in through here, and it went down and it went through what is currently a wetland, because there are 2 culverts under, like, in this wetland area. And that was his old access path. He does not want to use that one, but he says he legally can. We didn't go there, but it's an existing access that he uses for his agricultural operations. So he's saying that's his legal pathway, but he doesn't want the nightmare of going through the wetlands either. It's more expensive and it's more work. he would prefer to go around this edge here. And what I've told him is, I think is my interpretation of the ag is under the agricultural exemption, if he does not significantly enlarge it and stays out of the wetland areas, out of the actual wetland, then he would be in compliance with the agricultural exemption standards. But
So has
we don't
this
know.
ever been resolved in terms of the litigation? Because I mean, we keep calling it agricultural exemption, but I don't know that that's ever been finally determined that that's what he has.
Yes, I spoke with Attorney Dineski
Yeah.
on Friday, and he said it's been determined. This property is in Chapter 61A, so it's an agricultural property, this one and the property across the street. So according to Attorney Dineski, it meets the agricultural exemption, and it appears to be the case from my view as well. Like the other farms in town, even though the main operation is on one side of the road, like at Davidian Farms or at what's the one, Barbarians, he's got most of his operations, the buildings and all that on one side of the street, and then on the other he's got fields, and it's all one farm.
Yeah, but that problem is that's not what Anza's doing.
I don't know what Ant is doing. He said that he's had animals out here grazing. He's planted pumpkins out in the back area here,
Right now.
and
He could
I
be
don't
doing
have any of it.
enrichment. We have no idea what he's planning to do, and I doubt it's to feed ducks.
I can totally agree with that. Yes. But what he said is that he's going to submit something for the commission to review to determine whether he's in compliance with his agricultural exemption. And that's, I think, where we stand.
Have you asked Mia about this at all? Because poor girl got stuck in this.
She did. She is not allowed to talk about this from the DEP's point of view. She is, she has to wait 2 years for some conflict of interest rule to lapse, which is in January. So I think it's January 12th, if I remember right. But there's a date in January when she will be able to legally help us. But I've been talking to her supervisor, Kim Roth, and their supervisor, or both of their supervisors, Judy Schmitz. And they have been doing most of the interaction and the work across the street, and agreed that this is an agricultural use on this side. And if we can get them to do a plan, we can talk and worry about all sorts of crazy things that he's going to do. From what I've heard, I think no one would have expected the things that he's already done, so we can't really predict what he's going to do. So I would just say he's not impacting the wetlands right now, and he's not actively making a mess out there in the buffer zone. So I think we just wait for him to submit a plan and have everybody keep an eye on the property as you're driving by, and let me know if you see something.
And
I'm
that was
curious-
pretty much Attorney Dineski's opinion, was that he's been compliant with the cease and desist to date. He seems to be cooperative with with the town, and to take advantage of that and move ahead. That was the legal opinion we received.
Yes.
Do you happen to know why he parks a truck at the top of the road?
Yes, he parks a truck at the top of the road because the railroad folks were using his property to access a bunch of the rail ties and all the operations that were
Oh, they're down
going
there.
on his property. So basically, he had asked the railroad for permission to do something, and they said, absolutely not, don't bother us, don't put a foot on our property. And then they started using his property to gain access to theirs. And so he's like,
Okay.
I'm parking an old truck here so they can't get in.
Okay.
It wasn't just for Greg.
You had a question?
I don't know that it was a question, as maybe a statement that was going to get me into trouble. I mean,
Okay.
I just can't, all of the pain and expense and wasted effort that this guy has put all of us through, he's not going to get an inch of benefit. from me.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just coming in new. That's why I have it on the informal discussion aspect, so I can get the feedback. I talked with Tom. Tom said, be careful, trust but verify.
But is
Be
anybody,
gracious.
are any of the other boards doing anything about this?
Well, I think Board of Health pretty much engaged across the street. I
Yes.
was surprised that he could get issued a building permit.
Well, because the building code is a state permit, he meets all the standards and requirements for the building code or for the building permit. He will still need to file to confirm that he has access. But if he were to get access from the railroad company and drive down that way and access his property, he'd be okay to build his building.
Well, he has to be in compliance. He can only get a building permit if he's compliant with all of the town regulations too.
Yes, but he is. He's in compliance with the cease and desist because he stopped doing the work. And I didn't find any other rules or regulations that he's in violation of because he's outside our jurisdiction.
Is by any chance the planning board looking at ways they could maybe put a
Oh,
stop to that?
every chance they can, it sounds like that. But
Okay,
the trouble
that
is
would- that-
they're
that's what
exempt
I
as an
wanted to-
ag.
Okay.
They're exempt from zoning under the ag stuff. So there was a lot of questions there, and my supervisor, Laurie, the planning director, has reviewed this, and she said that we really don't want a bad situation out there, but what he's asking for is allowed under the laws.
Anyway, that's where we are.
Do you know what design or what kind of building he is trying to do?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a prefab metal building. I think it's 30 by 60, concrete slab, metal sides, metal walls, and truss roofing is what I had seen. There's 2 garage doors, I think, on it, 1 pedestrian door. And this is pretty much as I remember.
So it's not a straight wooden building. He's going with metal.
Yes, yep, it's prefab metal. I think it's similar to the ones at 172 Barefoot, if you have seen those. They just went in. I was out doing some drainage inspections out there. Same type of building. Across from, what's the mountain there?
Iron Mountain.
Iron Mountain, yep.
Isn't that mess?
Is that what?
Mess with all the rocks and.
Yeah,
the
that
building?
one.
That
Yes,
one, yes.
behind the rocks, the building's there.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Okay.
Vinny, as this moves forward, when we see a plan, we probably want to schedule a site walk.
Sure. Yep.
So, and we probably should arrange that we can get as many members, them on a weekend or something, get many people as we can to go, but that's down the road a bit, so to speak.
Yeah, is that limited yet? It was limited at one point where only one person could go.
I don't know.
Limited how? What do you mean?
In order to walk on that property, Mia couldn't go on it unless she let the police department know.
No, it was either with Fred Litchfield or myself.
Okay, but somebody else had to know and they went with her, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually walked the site a week or 2 weeks ago with Mr. Anza and walked
Okay.
up to this area. He was pleasant. It was.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. All right. Informal discussion. So that's another thing that's on the radar screen.
Yes. Thanks for your input.
Anything else, B? Anything we can expect for next month that you know about? We have 3 continuations here.
3, yes. And the dog park on Boundary Street Dog Park. I had a meeting this afternoon with the proponents, Weston and Sampson, and they're going to finalize the plan for submittal, I think next Friday, not this coming Friday, but next Friday, which is the due date for our next meeting.
Now, Weston and Sampson were the same folks we dealt with at the senior center trail. And there was a lot of dancing and jousting and negotiating in terms of getting a PE stamp on that. Did you get that up front?
I have let them know that, yes, and they gave many of the same details that are being revised to match the ones that they corrected on the senior project. So I think we're going a step in the right direction.
Good. Okay. The dog park next month, these three next month, and who knows what else.
Right.
We'll have an update probably. We'll have probably an update again on all three of the items today. High
Yes.
school,
Yep.
Forestry, and Whitney Street. So. All right. Anybody else want to bring up anything that they have seen or have a concern with? How about attendance for next month? Any issues we know about? Okay,
Tom said he's planning to make it.
great. I did speak to Tom a couple of weeks ago. He sounded pretty good. So.
Yeah.
And he hasn't lost his very clear opinions on certain things. So,
Yes, I asked him about SNA Farms. So I was ready for you guys. You were tame. He wasn't on tape.
Let me, I should know this, but I don't. So we don't have a town administrator,
We have
I
an
thought we-
interim town
I thought-
administrator.
but I thought we selected somebody.
They
No.
withdrew.
They withdrew.
Yes.
So we recast the net.
Yes, and I think they're in the process. We had Bob, oh, how soon I forget. We had an interim up until
I remember him.
August.
And so
And then
now
we have a new person, Mike Gallagher.
okay.
okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we will close up shop for the night. Very good. All right, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Justin Dufresne,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Hellwig.
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, folks, have a good week or two or three. Don't lose any sleep over any of our informal discussion items. And we will talk to you very soon. Oh, and thank you for your support again.
Yes, thank you.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.
Bye, everyone.